Young girls, don't cry. You're not alone in the fight. The broken, the unspoken. We can't heal if the wound is open. It feels like no one cares to see your heart is bleeding. Your cry is ignored when you are ill. When the wrong, the pain and lies are kept a secret to gain for their own benefit. Be strong, be brave. You're too far away from the grave. Stand tall. We are here. We don't know the spirit of fear. We will overcome. Yes, we will overcome. We will overcome. Yes, we will. We will overcome. Yes, we will overcome. We will overcome. Yes, we will. Liberia, when will we stop being the inferior? I wanna move children, strength of their innocence. It feels like no one hears to see your heart is bleeding. Your cry is ignored when you are ill. When the wrong, the pain and lies are kept a secret to gain for their own benefit. Be strong, be brave. You're too far away from the grave. Stand tall. We are here. We don't know the spirit of fear. We will overcome. Yes, we will overcome. We will overcome. Yes, we will. We will overcome. Yes, we will overcome. We will overcome. Yes, we will. Liberia, we can give it when they turn their backs on us. Liberia, we can give it. Liberia, we can say a little louder. They have turned their backs on us. Young girls, don't cry. You're not alone in the fight.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women. Welcome to Tony Commander Galpohkpa Chesson Talk Show. This is a new week. Today is October the 25th, 2021. We rise to news of a world with rapidly depleting resources. We look all around us and see that the problems in our world today, the confusion, the discombobulation, the hate, the wickedness, etc., etc., all of this rests on two fronts. One, the resources of the world are being depleted. Look at where we are today. We're going back into the 1960s. We're going back into the 1960s. Our economic situation is getting bad. Then we've lost our sense of dignity and decency toward each other. And on the second front, because of all these changes, climatic change, depletion of our resources, our world is going back to the 1960s. People beginning to fight for resources in the world. Our depleting resources causing us to revert to our past years. We see Iran is developing nuclear weapons again because of Donald Trump. Took us out of the nuclear program with Iran. Now we have nobody monitoring these people. And these people are left alone with their nuclear power and whatever secrecy they have for developing nuclear weapons. Now we got to go back into this program to monitor these people. The proliferation of nuclear weapons in the world cannot be tolerated. We have to be involved with it. Us in Africa as well. It impacts all of us. And it behooves us to pay attention to these things and stay abreast of the changes in our world today. We see that last night they did a revision of the stories of the American Civil War. It started on CNN, called the American Civil War, where the Americans are making attempts to correct some of the miseducation, the wrong education, and the left of education that Americans need to know about our Civil War. About where we went wrong. Why we had the Civil War in the first place. We know that the Civil War wasn't because of slavery. The Civil War was because the South was about to break away from the Union because of slavery. And the war was to stop their secession from the Union. So it was indirectly for slavery, but it wasn't really for slavery. And all these things we have to get correct about American Civil War. Because it was a turning It was a turning point in American history. And because of Jim Crow, racism, wanting to appease the South, we failed with Reconstruction. All the efforts that were put into changing the mistakes that were made before the Civil War reverted because of Jim Crow and all the racist laws that emerged after Reconstruction. So we have not really addressed the issue of our Civil War, and more importantly, the issue of race relations in the United States of America. And the problem has not been with black people. The problem has been with white people. White people need to sit openly and honestly talk to each other about racism, about how they feel about it. Those that are against it need to let the other white Americans who are hurt or feel hurt because they feel they're losing something because of racism. White people need to address racism in America. Racism is not a black people thing. We suffered racism. We know racism. We understand racism. It's white people who have to sit among themselves and address the issue of racism. Those that are for and those that are miseducated about it. There are too many Americans white who are still miseducated about racism and need to be educated. Black people cannot do it. White people got to take the initiative to teach other white people who have been miseducated, uneducated, or failed to be educated about racism. We cannot go on like this. We see how racism and Donald Trump lies almost destroy our nation. We are still reeling from this evil of Donald Trump. And it took him nothing to do that. Just lie. Just tell lies to scare white people. And this cannot go on. This cannot go on. We cannot destroy our democracy because white people are afraid. We cannot destroy our democracy because white people remain ignorant about the facts and truths about our Civil War, American history, and the plight of Black American people in the United States of America. We must change our destiny. Just as we expect better of Black people, we expect better of white Americans today. We expect them to demonstrate patriotism, as all Americans should. Stand for understanding and appreciating the diversity of our country. And understand that America is for all of us. Nobody going to hurt the white people because there are many Black people who will not tolerate that. We are not about revenge. We are about changing the trajectory of life in America for all Americans so we can be prepared to meet the challenges of the future. The challenges that involve space travel, seeking out resources for our depleting resources on this world through our space programs. This is the dream of the final frontier. And if we must live this dream to go out and search for worlds, explore the unknown, travel to places we have never known, and meet people of different worlds, we have to prepare ourselves for it by eliminating racism, by eliminating those barriers in our society that prevent us from fully realizing our potentials as Americans, as the greatest nation and peoples on this earth. The world is changing. Captain Kirk has been to outer space. And every time I think about what James Kirk said, or what's his real name? What is Captain Kirk's real name? William Shatner. Every time I think of what William Shatner said when he came from space, it bugs me because it reminds me of Genesis of the Bible. How did the people? This is the truth of the Bible. It has been bugging me ever since William Shatner came back, and he repeated it time and again. He said, "Up there is darkness. It's all darkness. Down here is light, light, and the blue air is the firmament that separates the atmosphere from the stratosphere." I mean, and he was explaining it, and all I kept thinking about was the book Genesis. When they said God came and there was darkness. William Shatner said it. He said, "All up there is darkness." He said, "Everything up there is darkness. It's dark." He said, "But when you look down, you see earth with its light." That's Genesis. When God came, there was darkness. And he said, "Let there be light." And in the middle of the darkness came the firmament of light. And that's earth. And when William Shatner kept saying it, "Up there's all dark, and this is light," he kept bringing back to me the teaching of Genesis. And I said, yes, that's what they said in Genesis. It was the darkness. And God made this little ball light in the darkness. So all around us is darkness. We are the light in the middle of our universe of darkness. Can you imagine that? This bringing the full realization, the fact that we're just in the middle of darkness. Our world is in the middle of darkness. And the more we screw around, the more we mess up and cause our world resources to deplete and climate changes to overwhelm our world, will be coming into the darkness too. The darkness will be coming into this world. It's not far-fetched. We're already seeing spaceship, UFOs, the government admitting to it now. First, the government never used to admit to it. Now they're putting it on CNN. Pilots admitting to seeing UFOs. So that means we are being more exposed to extraterrestrial beings. Maybe they have been there forever. But now we are traveling into the darkness mode. So the darkness is revealing itself, things that are coming out of the darkness into the light, which are UFOs, revealing themselves to us now because we go into the darkness. There's a possibility we see them more now because we got a space station there. They have already seen alien ships way off in the distance. So if we can go up there, they can come down here. And we got to prepare for these things, not only because of attacks and movies and all that they know, but because there will be a need for us to explore outside Earth. As our resources deplete, we can't keep fighting and killing each other. We can't keep developing warheads to destroy our nation, our civilization. At some point, we got to come to the realization and say, no, enough of these warheads. Enough. We got enough here. We don't need them. We don't need them. We can do better things with nuclear power than kill ourselves. Just playing with nuclear power alone is death. Radiation, all those things, heat, unbearable heat. So all those things stick away our life. They threaten our environment, our survival, our atmosphere. Now we got volcanoes underwater and on top of Earth that can't stop exploding. People finding it hard to live in certain places that they love. They got to pack up and leave. We got blazing fires from electrical wires or people burning fires in the forest and things like that. Lightning. We just damn whether we believe it or not. So let me just take a break, take a coffee break, and I'll get back to my show and we start my class, okay? Hang in. My topic for today are challenges of Liberia's economic system. Liberia's economy versus Liberia's economic system. 2, Liberia's cultures versus our cultural values. And finally, the conclusion. Let's start with my first topic. Challenges of Liberia's economy versus Liberia's economic system. First of all, do we have an economic system? What is our economic system? Has it varied so much from our initial economic system of mankind, which is barter, trade? When we didn't have money, we traded our goods and services with each other. We traded what we had, our livestock, before we developed a viable economy with money in the sense of production of raw materials and all these things. Now here we are today. We got to look at Liberia's economy versus Liberia's economic system. We have no economic system. We have no economic system. I'm not an economist, but I know the system we have is not any system that is viably capable of sustaining us as a nation and people by itself. It can't. We are a dependent nation. So no matter how we strive to say we have an economy and an economic system of our own, it behooves us to listen to our economists because who are our economists right now? The only man viable right now talking is Sam Jackson. Once in a while, we hear from Martin Cully, who I think is a more astute economist than Sam Jackson. I think Sam Jackson gets confused with his own failures to propagate his ideals in the Liberian governmental setting and his desire to want to show that he knows. Because look at Sam Jackson from 1980 to today. Sam Jackson has not really served in any viable government position. Every position he served in is for less than a year. Then something happens, he's removed. Then he comes home. He joins what about name? Samuel Twer, and he set up this economic team for what I don't know what benefit he gets out of it, whether he's getting paid for it or not. He still doesn't get a job. Now he's George Weah's cousin, trying to promote George Weah's regime for another term of leadership. So what does Sam Jackson, as an economist, stand in Liberian society? He seems to have a good idea about economic theories, some comparative analysis of situations in Liberia. But from what I'm hearing from our podcasters in the community who are looking for some direction on Liberia economic progress and advancement, and turn it to Sam Jackson, the situation is being confused more than enlightening us. And you can hear all our podcasters now coming to the conclusion that we need an economic team, not Sam Jackson alone, not Martin Colley alone. We need an economic team of professionals to sit down and evaluate and analyze Liberia's current economy, an economic viable situation. Do we have a Liberian economy? What is a Liberian economy? How do we address strategic situations in our society that needs professional handling by economists? I mean, we can't continue to operate on this voodoo economy. We have some serious problems in our country, man. We have problems with taxation. First of all, at the bottom of all our problems is the massive stealing, the massive dishonesty, the massive leadership problems. When we resolve those problems, then we can sit down seriously and look at our governmental structure, especially our economy, and see what needs fixing. There are so many things broken. Primarily, our taxation. But you cannot have good taxation without good representation. So our legislature needs overhauling too. Because our tax laws have to conform to the changes in our society. We got income tax. We got taxes for different things. Goods, commodities, sales, import tax, export tax, all these taxes have to be coordinated. One of the major problems we suffer too in Liberia is generated with withholding taxes from private corporations, especially Liberian owned. Yes, we go after the big corporations like Firestone and all thing because those people comply with Liberian laws. But we need a structured tax system that will go after every aspect of taxation within our society. It is unfair to some of us when certain sector of the citizenry get taxed and others don't. We have various kind of taxation when it comes to personal and household tax. We got a hot tax. Those are for we used to be for our indigenous people. Are those taxes still being employed today? If they are, how do we differentiate those taxes from other taxes that involve income with employment? Then besides that, we got our goods and services to deal with. Our commerce ministry. How viable is that ministry? There are so many things we have to attend to. I listen to Focus on Africa, Focus Online, Focus on Liberia with Sam Jackson and Coffee, Alexander Coffee, and all of them talking. And many of the things they were talking about tax law and tax systems, they far-fetched for Liberia. I can remember when I worked at the finance ministry in the 1990s, before I left Liberia. I was making $1,000 a month as legal counsel for the Treasury Department. And I was being taxed. I was making more than 1,000. But when I get taxed, I used to take home 1,000. I come home to my boy, Richard Wilson. Richard Wilson was working for his brother. Richard Wilson was our DJ who passed away, one of Liberia's most profound DJs. He passed away in the 1990s. And his funeral, I tell you, this boy funeral was like a presidential funeral. I've never seen a personal person funeral like that. He was a star. So when we buried Roy was my buddy. Roy's brother had the slot machine company. They divided the country because there were other people that had slot machines too. So Keith Wilson had his company. He has one part of the country, and they divided it with different people who had other slot machines. So his share of the company of the area was in Nimba and all that area, and that's how my boy Richard got killed coming down from Nimba doing his brother business. He had an accident, but anyway, Richard was working for his brother, making $1,000 a month, not paying taxes. He and I were making almost the same thing. And I used to ask, sometimes I come home, I talk about my taxes. I said, damn, these people took my taxes. What kind of taxes they taking out of my money? So then I asked Richard, I said, Richard, what are you paying taxes? He said, taxes? You joking? I said, you're not paying taxes? He said, taxes? You better get away from here with your taxes business. Taxes? Yeah, I looked at government official. I looked at government man. So I said, you mean you working, getting over $1,000, and you're not paying taxes to the Liberian government? I left there and went straight to the deputy minister who was my boss for taxation. Who was here at that time? Hmm. Was it Manning? Yeah, I think it was one Manning. And I went to him and I said, Mr. Minister, my friend making over $1,000 just like me. I'm paying taxes and I'm not paying taxes. Why? I said, what's happening with our withholding taxes program? He said, well, Mr. Chesson, we're looking into it. When the big companies pay withholding taxes, but we try to evaluate. I said, but it's not fair to me. I said, I'm a Liberian citizen. You people taking taxes from me in the government? Then my buddy got his private company making more than $1,000 a month, and we're not collecting withholding taxes. So right there, then what he did, he just put in the minister put a little short thing in the paper asking companies to please submit their withholding taxes to the government. There were no threats or statement of punishment for these companies withholding taxes. So our economic system, besides being broken down, is one-sided. Only the people that are working for government paying taxes. There is no guarantee that all the Liberians with private companies making money, other than the big conglomerates, Firestone, Bone Mines, other than those companies. Other companies in our country paying the employees and the employees making money and not paying taxes to government. So our system is non-existent. Our LRA, what kind of taxes they're collecting? We talk about reporting, economic reporting, informing the people about commodities that we need to check on. I hear Sam Jackson talking about the commerce need to select certain commodities that we need to monitor their prices of, besides rice and the major things. Because this is what freezing our society is all about. And when you see our commerce ministry functioning and all these viable programs that need to be put in place for Liberian people to generate money for our society, to stop corruption and waste, and wasteful expenditure. Our commerce ministry are not doing those things. So we're going to work at those people doing the commerce ministry, because I listen to those guys, and many of the things they're saying too are right, but they got to generate from our commerce ministry. We got to have indexes of prices that shows that our commerce ministry is monitoring our society. We need effectiveness in governmental administration. We talk about the devaluation of our money. Right now, nobody in Liberia can tell us what's happening in our country. Why is the Liberian money devalued or demonstrating more strength than the American dollar in some aspects, but the commodities and goods in our country have remained unchanged. The prices. We got money coming into the country. Our people confused. They don't know what to use the money for. We say we're bringing the money for this purpose. Now the money here, there's no plan. Everybody seems to be dumbfounded about what this money is all about. So, just to break it down short, we have a serious economic issue And Liberia needs an economic team put together to study Liberia's economy, to make recommendations that our government will follow. We don't need expatriates. We need Liberians, Liberian economists. I don't know about Sam Jackson so much. It may be in the 10 years since the coup, and nobody ever took Sam Jackson up yet. And he going back to school to learn some economic stuff again. For what? Everything he knows is not helping our country. Our economic structure is not viable. We have no system. We have no economy. What we had in the past is broken down. So unless we set up a serious team to analyze and review our economy, we just existed. We just existed. And we cannot continue to just exist. We must demonstrate growth, progress, advancement, honesty, and a democratic system that works for all of us. So we have a lot of challenges. Our economy versus our economic system. Where do we stand? I don't want to act like I know economics. I don't want to delve too much into the system, but I know there's a problem. And our problem stems from administrative ineffectiveness, which borders primarily on corruption and stealing. Our taxation program needs to be viable and sustainable and clear, so we know our tax index, who gets taxed what, and ensure that people pay their taxes to the Republic of Liberia. Too many people are not paying taxes. Too many people are living off the wealth of a few Liberian people who pay taxes and follow our laws. And these things got to change. Every Liberian got to carry their own weight. We must set up a team of economists who will restructure and develop some kind of economic system for our country. A structure of taxation that will work. But our country needs overhauling. Our country needs overhauling from the political side to the religious side to the economic side to the social side. We need overhauling. And only Liberian people ourselves can change our country by saying enough is enough. By saying we want good leaders. By choosing those people. By choosing those people that we can trust. Not people that we just love or want to follow for tribal alliances or allegiance, but people we know can do the job. And how many of those people are there in Liberia today? Liberia needs help. We need help. And we don't need just foolish help. We need sound help from seasoned Liberians who understand our country, appreciate our people and our situations, and really want to help us build a country that we love and treasure. There are some Liberians like that. We got some Liberians like that. And when I take a break, we'll start with my second topic: Liberia's culture versus our cultural values. Because I think this is where the problem lies that demoralizes everything in our country. This is where our problem lies, where our cultural practices meet with our values as citizens of the West African Republic of Liberia. Let me take a break and we'll get back and we'll talk about it a little bit. Okay? Well, just bear with me. Let me get a file so we can share it right now. I have the file right here with me. Oh, Lord. And Jesus, get it right. Let me get it right. Well, just bear with me, folks. I always seem to mess this stuff up when I come to do this stuff here. Let me get this thing right. Go in my video files. I got it already out, but let me move it from here. Let me shut it off here. Shut it off here, then I bring it on here. No. Just bear with me, folks. This is part of my show, and I want to make sure that we do it. Is it coming up?
Come back to you for another
Okay, yeah, there it is.
subject matter that perhaps you have. My subject matter tonight, Mr. George, and I will try to either do this one on one either tomorrow or
Let
Wednesday.
me just pause it for a while.
It's the issue of the road in Liberia. And the reason I've been quiet for months
Okay, the reason why
because I've done everything humanly
I want to start off with Mr. Samson Toe is because Mr. Samson Toe is one of the podcasters of the Liberian show called Liberian Public Radio. He's one of the um, producers. And he's on today talking about, he was, I think it was show last night or day before yesterday or the weekend. He's talking about our values as Liberians. And I want you to listen to him before I come in. Because our people complain all the time. You're in America, you don't want to help us, you don't want to help us. But this is Samson Toe's story about offering his engineering services to the people of his county, Grand County, in the southeastern part region of Liberia. Let's listen to Samson Toe before I come in with my holla holla. Okay?
possible for me to offer my help to our brothers and sisters in the northeast area, specifically Grand County. I'm a civil engineer. I've been practicing roadway design and construction for over 30 years or so. And so like I said, I take years
no backseat to anybody when it comes to this particular issue, design and construction. And so I thought that I try to offer my services to my brothers and sisters in not all over Northeast, I would just say Grand here. But for some reason, folks from my area have not seen reason to accept my offer. Um, Back in, I believe, 2018, a friend of mine who happens to be a civil engineer has his own business in Liberia as well, engineering business in Liberia, invited me to impact on the young engineers the process of designs and all of the policies involved to have a quality work in terms of road design. And I spent, I think, 2 months over there in Liberia, where I had we had classes every day, teach them, show them the ASHTO guide of design, geometric design. I also went out with them, showed them to do surveys, when civil engineering survey type land. Well, I can also do land survey, but that wasn't what I was teaching them. I was pretty much showing them how to run a level, common tool in terms of construction and providing elevations and what have you, or checking elevation and what have you. Because the construction process of the roadway design, you have to adhere strictly to elevations. Without elevation, you're going nowhere. But anyhow, I was there. I went to Total, came back here in the United States, and I traveled because when I went to Total, I saw how bad deplorable the road was. Nima County, Grand Hill, it was just bad. So I decided to call and make few airways and what have you. And nothing has happened since. I was in touch at one time, spoke. I know I didn't speak back, call, and they told me the late minister Mabutu was supposed to have gotten in touch with me, and nothing happened. And then when he passed, the acting minister now, I spoke with her twice, and every time they were promised to call me back, nothing happened. They are not done. So I'm not going to force them. I'm not going to force my way. These are people that are in leadership. I will let people, if I were in those positions, and the fact that even if you know everything better than me, you have to respect my position. I've always done that. But what I'm not going to do is to force my way, beg you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I will not beg anybody because the first thing is I'm not looking for a job to say I'm looking for a job, therefore I'm begging them. No, I just want to because I know I can help. I know I can fix these things. I know that. I do that every day here. I just got out of another project that I was telling you about here 2 days ago. There's a project, a bridge project I just finished with. Okay, rehab project. Okay, and there is on is suspended now because the birds that are living in those trees that is supposed to cut down, the bird missed their time of flight. And so once they miss that, it's going to stay put. And so nobody touching any of those trees until the bird flies out of there with their young baby or whatever. They all leave, and then they can cut the tree down. But when the biologists checked, the bird was still there. They said, we're not doing nothing. Those birds, then that's their living order. You can't move it. And so it's the my design aspect of it is done. It's based on environmental issues. The road is going to be constructed. on another project right now, where it's just a common overlay. They have a bad alligator road, we call it. You got traffic so bad, they call it alligator road. And so we have to come and grind and fix some stuff, or sometimes we dig out where you go maybe 3 4 feet deep, take everything out, take the base, everything out, put it right back, and then we have a new road. But the structure section is going to be the integrity of the structure section is going to be good. So to make matters short, I know what I'm doing in this area, and I'm working here as a professional as well. I'm not fooling around. But lately, reason why I'm saying all of these things lately, people from my area have been posting a lot. There's a serious road damage in my area. And let me show you what I'm talking about. This area here, I have three pictures combined to one. The first one, you're looking at over there, it's a roadway. They call it they call it roadway. And the second one, which is on top, the people in that picture, they're using shovels to dig out the bad dirt so that it can meet up with a good dirt, which is fine. Then what they do now, the third picture with the truck, once they meet up with the good dirt, then they put the trucks there on. It's just a matter of time before they start all over. So there's nothing
Well, I'm running out of time, so I will stop this tip here and just say what Mr. Two is trying to say. Mr. Two is an engineer. He sees the problem in his county. This is Grand Julia County in the southeastern part of Liberia. He offers his help as an engineer from California to solve this problem, which he says is a common problem. He says what the people are doing here is the right thing. They are trying to move the mud as much as they can from the road to get down to good mud. They're trying to move the wet mud, the water and the mud and all of that, and then eventually get down to dry mud, clay, where the cars will be able to pass, as you can see in the picture on the right hand below. But he says when they do that, they cannot leave the road like that. There are other measures they have to take to ensure that the clay, this is clay road, it's not dirt, it's clay, so that the clay that they reach the dry area on will stay dry. Because if they reach to the dry area, if they move all the water area and keep digging and get to the dry area of the clay, and they don't do measures to keep the road dry, because it's still raining, the rain will not stop. The place will get muddy and just as messed up as the top picture above. So, in order to avoid that, where the man is standing in the mud on the top picture, you can see his leg up to his shoulders. This is what happens after they get to the new clay and it keeps raining and the cars keep driving on the clay because they have embankment. There's nowhere else for the water to go, so the water will just sit there. So what he's saying is there are ways to avoid that. You have to do away with all the embankment, the high dirt on the side, level it up so you don't have any water settling on the road itself. And there are other things he can do to prevent the road from being soaky and wet like that. He has the technology. He has the know-how. The people in the county got the equipment. He's already spoken with them. They told him if they don't have the equipment, the companies, the mining companies in the area got the equipment he need. The county can borrow it. But for him to come and do the work for them now, they don't want him to do it. Why? Because it's all about money, corruption, and stealing. If he can come and fix this road, why would they need money? Why can't they continue this help initiative to do other things to alleviate the bad road problems? But they don't want a Liberian coming to help them. They want foreigners so they can get money from outside to get kickbacks. When a Liberian comes to do it, he's not bringing any money. This is help. They got to get the equipment. Nobody making money. It's help. Our leaders want money. If you listen to Samson Toll, he says the leaders do not ride to go to the counties, they fly. Only the people ride on these roads to go to the county. These are the leaders we have leading our people and nation today. And this is where our cultures conflict with our cultural values. Because the Liberian culture is a culture of cohesiveness, of oneness, of brotherhood, in spite of our problems. This is our culture. But the values our people have been demonstrated since 1990s has gone too far beyond what we know as our cultural values. Even on the same show with Toe and what his name, Amos George, they were talking about how our society has become so indecent. People just using profanity. They have no time for cultural values where we should respect our elders. People don't respect the elders no more. They insult them. People think it's because of the war. It took all our values away. All what we know to keep ourselves cohesive together as one people. We've lost it. And we see by the standard of living of our people that our leaders still have no empathy for the plight of our people. All they care is about themselves and what they can get. And enough is enough. These are the things we are suffering. These are some of the problems we are facing in our country. We complain about money. We complain about people who don't want to come home. But when our people who are professionals and love our country and know means to help our people to alleviate the hardship want to come home, our greedy leaders don't want them. Why? Because they will interfere with the corrupt, deceitful, useless, and evil practices against Liberia and the Liberian people. To end my class, I'm gonna tell my Liberian people, we can't go on like this. We cannot have leaders who love themselves more than they love our country and people. We need the war crimes court. We need to reel our society back from the war and warlike people that govern our society and people today. The time for change is now. Look at how our people suffering. Look at the way we are living in our country in this day and age. It is intolerable, unacceptable. And I know we can do better. The time of true Liberian patriots is now. Are you ready? Aluta! Continua. In conclusion, only one thing I can say to my people. Only one thing I can say. We must bring the love back. We must bring the love for our country, our people, and ourselves back to our country. This is hatred. This is hatred. Uncaring leadership. Hustlers. We can't go on like this. How long our country will be like this? All my life we've been talking about this thing. I've been seeing my country up country like this. How long, man? How long? Something has to be done. And we got to do it in this generation. Have a good day. The time of the Liberian people is now.